Hey guys, this is Drew with the Travel Nurses Guide Facebook group. Earlier this year, I created the Maxed Out Negotiation course. I did this course because over the past 3 years, lots of travel nurses, including myself, has shared tons of content on the Facebook group. And sometimes some of the really important, really helpful information get lost in all the posts and comments. So I wanted to solve that issue for travel nurses who wanted to find all the best content and information all in one place. I solved this issue by creating the Maxed Out Negotiations course. I actually spent lots of time writing this course and putting it all together and then adding it onto the Teachable platform. Teachable is an online course platform. They have an app and a website. It's very user friendly. Once you purchase the course here on the sales page, you can download the app or go to the website. You can log in and access the course at any time. You'll have access to the course for the rest of your life. You can stop and start the course whenever you want, and you can take it as many times as you please. I am actually using my phone right now. This is the sales page to the Maxed Out Negotiation course. This is where you can purchase the course. I'm going to scroll down here where there's a section about the course. It basically teaches you what the course has to offer. There's a picture of myself and my wife, and a little section about the author where it talks about how travel nursing has really impacted our lives for the better. At the bottom here is the course contents. There's a list of all the sections. I'm going to keep scrolling. It goes all the way down to the bottom. And then at the very bottom is the choose a pricing option. If you are interested in purchasing the course, you have two pricing options. You can pay a one-time payment of $249 or two payments of $135 a month. The price of the course currently is $249. However, in the future, the price of the course will likely go up. Again, once you choose your pricing option, you can click Purchase Course. But even if you are not interested in purchasing the course, there is an opportunity here to see a free preview to the entire first section, which even, like I said, if you're not interested in purchasing the course, I highly recommend just coming to see the free preview to the first section, as there's lots of content here in the first section that you could learn a lot from. The first section here, the power of negotiating, is just an introduction to the course. The real content starts here with the flow of money. And again, you can get a free preview of this entire section just by clicking preview here, as I did with the first section. You can see this is what it looks like when using it on your phone. Talk about the flow of the money, how the hospital pays the agency. We talk about common terms used in the travel nurse industry. You can also see that most of this course is in the text format. However, there are 5 or 6 short videos that are scattered throughout the course as well. So the first section is an overview of the travel nurse industry. It also helps you understand the basic business model of a staffing agency and the flow of money from the facility, such as the hospital, to the agency, to the travel nurse, and what happens to the money throughout that process. It explains why the agency has to take a certain amount from the bill rate. There's also a super helpful video that I created here. It says using bucket of water to explain the flow of money. It's a little less than a 5-minute video, and it is very helpful explaining what happens to the money throughout that process. And as a travel nurse, what are you negotiating for, and what is the potential that you could get if you negotiate correctly? It's a very helpful video and explains things in a very simple form. The last part of this section is MSP versus vendor. It explains what these are and what the pros and cons of using both of them, or one or the other. The next section kind of continues with the helping you understand the industry, how it works, with a focus more on the recruiter in this section. It helps you understand what motivates your recruiter, why they don't have your best interest in mind. And then the next part of this section is called Imagine Being a Recruiter. And it really helps you put yourself in their shoes, understand how they think, and why they might be pushing you in a certain direction when you talk to a recruiter. Once you understand what motivates a recruiter and how a recruiter thinks, it's a lot easier to negotiate with them because you understand and you're able to determine why they are pushing you in a certain direction, or maybe why they are putting pressure on you to do a certain thing. The next section, we really get into the negotiations. There are 3 keys to negotiating that I thought were very important while I was writing this course. Number 1 is the correct mindset. Number 2 is due diligence, which basically means research. Make sure you do your own due diligence or do your own research. The next section here is how do I do my own due diligence? I wanted to make this course very thorough and explain to you in details how I do every single step. So I made a video of myself doing my own due diligence. I was actually screen recording on my computer, showing you exactly what I do when I research to learn more about contracts. And number 3 is the willingness to walk away. It explains what walking away is, when you should walk away, and how to walk away, and a few other things as well. So those are the 3 most important keys to negotiating. The next section talks about other important keys to negotiating, and really this is one of the important ones as well, but it is using leverage to get paid more. If you're not sure what leverage is using something you have to get something in return. As travel nurses, we've got to remember that we are the prize. Without us, a travel agency is nothing. They have to have us. And a lot of times travel nurses make a mistake with this. They think it's the opposite, that we need the travel agency. This section here really emphasizes that. Talks about some other keys and how to use leverage, how to position yourself to have the most leverage. This section is absolutely great because when you position yourself correctly, a lot of times recruiters respect you a lot more. They do not try to scam you or lowball you quite as bad. So very important section there. The next section is labeled the fastest and most efficient way to find and negotiate contracts. This is probably the biggest section of the course. It's where I start going into details exactly what I do when I find and negotiate contracts. The first section starts out basically the A to Z instructions of what I do, of how to find and negotiate contracts. I explain it in detail, exactly like I said, A to Z, not skipping a step. Part 2 of this section is the list of Facebook travel nurse jobs I like to use. Travel nurse job groups, should I say. I believe I list 10 or 11 different groups that I like to follow to look for contracts. The next part is how do I use those Facebook travel nurse job groups to find contracts. And again, it's in detail. It's a screen recording of how I find contracts on Facebook. The next section is very helpful. It's not using the agency's health insurance to get paid more. Again, there's actually a free preview to this section here. If you do not use the staffing agency's health insurance, a lot of times you can negotiate a higher pay, but recruiters almost refuse to give this money up. So you have to ask the right questions at the right time to be able to get. So again, a very helpful section if you do not use the agency's insurance. A couple more sections in this part of the course talks about how all negotiations are done first. This, a lot of times I even do my negotiations before I apply agency. This saves me a lot of time and again actually gives me more leverage. All of that is explained in this section. And the last part here is how to determine your stipend maximums. There's a screen recording of me using the GSA app on my phone and the GSA website on my computer. And that will help you determine the maximum stipend amount for any location in the U.S. The next section is negotiating an extension. I know a lot of travel nurses sometimes struggle with this, and recruiters will sometimes even want to lower your pay when you extend. However, most of the time, travel nurses should actually be getting a raise. Part 1 explains how to get a raise, how you should talk to your recruiter, how you should handle that with your recruiter. And Part 2 discusses the reasons why you might not get a raise. There's only a couple reasons, and most of the time they do not happen. So again, you should almost always get a raise when you extend. The last part is 4 schemes recruiters use. A lot of times recruiters will ask you questions and tell you that you need to answer these questions because it helps me help you, when really and truly it's just a question to help the recruiter get an edge over you. And then the last part of the course is tips to remember when negotiating. I have listed out 18 different tips with explanations in the last part. Some of those tips were mentioned in the course, some of them are not, but this part is actually a very helpful section to the course. It's a good quick resource to look over maybe before you start negotiating a new contract with your recruiter. But other than that, that is it with the course. Again, if you're interested in seeing the free preview, or maybe you're interested in purchasing the course, comment course down below. I will send you the link. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. And if there's anything else you feel like should be added to the Maxed Out Negotiation course, feel free to comment that below as well. I hope this helps you understand what this course has to offer, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks, guys.